Hey everybody, welcome to the channel and thank you so much for joining me for a visit to Capitol Reef National Park, which, like the other Utah national parks, is located in southern Utah. We'll take a moment to look at the water pocket fold here. And now we'll get into the park summary. Capitol Reef was established as a national park in 1971 by President Richard Nixon. The park was previously established as a national monument by Franklin D. Roosevelt and sees approximately 1.2 million visitors annually. The major feature of Capitol Reef is the water pocket fold, which is the largest monocline in the United States and forms the Capitol Reef. You can think of the fold as a wrinkle in the Earth's crust, and I'll discuss a little bit more about reefs here in a few moments. I didn't see very much in the way of wildlife within the park. There are bighorn sheep here, and there are also mountain lions. As for weather, Capitol Reef is in a desert area, so it is very dry. It doesn't get super hot here like Death Valley, but it can get warm in the summertime, and it can actually snow here during the months of December and January. As for cell service, just be aware you won't get any cell service here in this park, so make sure you download your maps. Now let's take a quick look at the park map. The water pocket fold is about 100 miles long, so it's kind of hard to show it all at once on the screen. Here's the northern section of the park. I'm going to draw your attention to the Cathedral Valley, and you see the white roads there with the dashed lines around them. Those roads actually require four-wheel drive, high clearance vehicles, and that's going to bring me to mistake number one that I made coming to this park, which is that my van was only two-wheel drive and actually had low clearance. So we won't be able to visit that area. If you want to get the most out of visiting this park, I'm going to go ahead and let you know that you need to have four-wheel drive high clearance. I'll discuss the second mistake later on in the video. In the central area of the water pocket fold, you have the Fruita district. Here's the visitor center. We're going to hike along the Grand Wash Trail here in the beginning of the video, and we'll actually join it with the Cassidy Arch Trail before then driving along the Scenic Drive. We'll also hike to Cohab Canyon, and then we'll finish up the video at Panorama Point. I'll briefly show you the southern section of the park, and you can see there's quite a bit less road access in this area of the park. We won't be visiting this area, however you do have the Cedar Mesa campground there. We'll zoom in on the Fruita Historic District, which is pretty much the main area of the park. We'll also visit the Petroglyph overlook. I do want to note the Hickman Bridge and the Capitol Dome. That'll come up a little bit later when it comes to mistake number two. You can also note there's a campground here, and additionally there is an amphitheater. So I hope you found the summary and the overview of the park map helpful. Please stick around to the end of the video where I'll give you my overall recommendation of this park and some top tips. So let's continue along the Grand Wash Trail, which will ultimately connect up to Cassidy Arch. The Grand Wash Trail here was suggested to me as a kind of an alternative to the Narrows hike at Zion National Park. As you'll see, there are some slot canyon type sections. While it does look somewhat similar to Zion in terms of the rock features, however, you don't really have the trees and the vegetation growing along the canyon walls, and also the walls here aren't quite as tall, but you do have that cool desert varnish, which is the dark stripes along the rocks. Grand Wash is a pretty enjoyable hike. It's quite long, and actually another reason why I did this hike was due to my difficulty navigating a dirt road back at Lassen National Park. I adopted a kind of a no dirt road policy with the van unless I knew the road was in really great condition. There's actually a dirt road that will get you directly to the Cassidy Arch Trailhead. However, I opted to take the long way. Overall, it was a pretty fun hike and I did enjoy it. Capitol Reef is actually the fourth of the Utah Mighty 5 parks that we've visited, and yes, we're going to visit Canyonlands. But if you've visited Capitol Reef and you have a special memory of this park, I'd really love to hear about it in the comments below, so please feel free to share those. Thanks so much. Now, as I mentioned, the water pocket fold is a monocline, and that is an exposed set of rock layers that are presented in a step-like fashion. The water pocket fold actually gets its name from having little pockets, which you'll see as dimples on the cliff walls, and those collect water whenever it rains here. The reason why the park is called Capitol Reef is that I know a lot of people, including me, think of a reef in terms of the Great Barrier Reef or maybe the Florida Reef, and those are of course underwater. But reefs are actually any barrier to travel, and that applies to dry land also. In the United States, we also have the San Rafael Reef and the Permian Reef, for example. So the water pocket fold is a reef because it was a barrier to travel for pioneers that explored this area, and the capital part of its name comes from the numerous white domed shaped formations that are at the top of the water pocket fold, and that reminded a lot of the settlers here of the Capitol Dome that are on top of many of the state capitals, in addition to the U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C. So that's how this national park became known as Capitol Reef. Before it was designated as a national monument, this area was known as the Wayne Wonderland in reference to Wayne County, Utah, where most of the area is located. Now we've made it to the trailhead of Cassidy Arch. If you're linking these two trails together, you want to try to do so in the morning time before it gets too hot, because both these hikes together can be somewhat strenuous. The Cassidy Arch Trail gives you a great opportunity to gain some elevation where you can get some incredible views of the surrounding area. The prominent pointy dome there is actually known as Fern's Nipple. Now here we have Cassidy Arch, and it's a cool looking arch. It was very big. You can see people there in the distance. Now I wasn't actually brave enough to walk across the top of the arch, but the arch is so named because it was rumored that the infamous Wild West outlaw Butch Cassidy would sometimes hang out in this area with his gang back in the day. If you're enjoying this video, I'd appreciate it so much if you would please give me a like, and if you want to see more videos like this one, please consider subscribing. Thanks so much, and let's continue with the video. And now we'll head on back and we will make one stop before heading to the Fruita District. Here's another dome. This is Navajo Dome. And on the way back to the Fruita District, also along the way, you're going to pass by the Petroglyph overlook, where you can see petroglyphs from the Fremont people. And these are estimated to be between 1,400 and 700 years old. Let's make a quick stop here at the Visitor Center to check out another one of those amazing relief maps of the national park, where you can get a great overview of the water pocket fold. And they also have a great aerial photograph showing you a bird's eye view of the area. Now let's head out of the visitor center and get started along the Scenic Drive. It's actually not very long, only about 8 miles, but you can get a good look at the step-like fashion of the exposed water pocket fold here. The Scenic Drive actually ends at a picnic area where you can then hike to go see what's known as the Golden Throne. We're going to pass on hiking out to that in this video because the rangers suggested that I complete another hike. So now we'll return along the Scenic Drive. Before getting going on the Cohab Canyon hike, which was suggested to me, we'll visit this friendly horse, and he was having just a great old time there chowing down on his hay.
Man, I don't like me sand, man. I do not like it. It's on your shoes. I wash my socks more frequently. Need to reinforce these trails so the sand doesn't get all up in your shoes, man.
Yeah, I'm not a very big fan of loose sand on hikes, and fortunately there weren't any Tusken Raiders on this hike because I would have gone full on Anakin Skywalker on them. Now there are many domes within this park, and there actually is one particular one that is known as the Capitol Dome. I'll point it out here, and that's really as close as we're going to get to Capitol Dome, and that was my second mistake, and it's why I was a little disappointed in the advice the rangers gave me here in this national park. They actually suggested doing Cohab Canyon over visiting Natural Bridge. If I went on that hike, I would have been able to get a lot closer to Capitol Dome and got some really good pictures. And that actually makes me feel bad that I visited Capitol Reef National Park, but I don't have a great picture of the Capitol Dome. I actually checked on the Park Service website, and guess what? They don't have a really good photo of it either, so maybe it's not so bad. But I still would have preferred to have done the other hike instead, so I would consider that as my second mistake here, and I would suggest going on the Natural Bridge hike before hiking Cohab Canyon. But still, this hike does lead you to a pretty cool overlook of the Fruita district, and it was really cool with the sunset lighting up the rock. And that's going to bring us to the recommendation and top tips for this park. My issue with Capitol Reef is the government upgraded it to a national park, but they didn't really make any improvements to the infrastructure here. And I understand it's a very remote area. The roads here weren't paved until like the early 60s, but it was kind of off-putting that there's a whole section of the park, Cathedral Valley, that I've seen on social media and stuff, but I couldn't visit it because it's not accessible by normal vehicles. So I really believe they need to improve road access to that area of the park and some other areas. And due to that lack of road access and the minimal facilities here, I sort of feel like Capitol Reef maybe shouldn't be a national park. I understand they are doing some construction, and maybe if they get the facilities here kind of on par, I would change my opinion on that. But in addition, the main area of the park here is quite small, and the water pocket fold, while it is very cool, it's very hard to, see the whole thing because it's so large, and I don't quite think it rises to the same level of some iconic national park landmarks such as Half Dome or Grand Prismatic Spring. So I'd say this park is only a visit if you're traveling between, let's say, Arches or Canyonlands on the way to Bryce or vice versa, or if there's some other reason you're traveling through this area. It's definitely worth a stop, but I don't know so much about going out of your way to visit this park. but make no mistake, I did have a good time here. For the top tips, pie is actually a big thing in this national park, and you can get it at the Fruita District at the Gifford Homestead, and I believe there are 4 varieties of pie. I know there's peach, berry, strawberry, and there's one other. As Capitol Reef is in an extremely remote area, the night skies here are amazing. We're actually finishing up the video here at Panorama Point, and this would be a great area in the park to do some night sky watching or even astrophotography. As for how long to visit the park, I guess it depends on if you have that 4-wheel drive high clearance capable vehicle. 2 days in that case, but seeing everything I did here, you can easily do that within 1 day. The Cohab Canyon overlook, where we just were, would be a good spot for sunset, but also Panorama Point. As for boondocking, I don't know so much about east of the park, but to the west, all along Utah Scenic Route 12, there are multiple pullouts within the Dixie National Forest there, and they are really quite incredible. And so those, if you're into boondocking, you probably want to give those a look. And that's going to do it for Capitol Reef National Park. I appreciate you so much for joining me for this video, and I will catch you in the next one. Thanks and take care. Bye.